Yo, YouTube, what's good? It's your man D Rich Kid back at you with another video. I'm gonna do a reaction video to these championship games this weekend, real quick. Uh, First off, Georgia and Texas played to overtime. Georgia won. I believe it was 22-19. Uh, I think now, I think Georgia is, they're finding ways to win. If you notice, this is their second overtime win. And within the last week, they went to 8 overtimes. Following week, last week, with Georgia Tech. So, yeah, Georgia, they're not dominating teams, but they are finding ways to win. And really, that's what it all boils down to at the end of the day, is that you find a way to win, and that's what they're doing right now. So Georgia won the SEC, so you know they're in. Texas is in also; they'll be in. But I don't know, man. Texas right now, it's got to be playing with their mind. It's a psychological thing. They lost twice to Georgia. They lost earlier in the year to Georgia. Got the brakes beat off of them. You know what I mean? So I don't know what the psyche is with Texas now. I still think they're a good team, but if you lose twice to a team, what does that say about you? They may be having doubts, second thoughts. I don't know, but we'll wait and see how that plays out. The second game was Penn State and Oregon. Oregon held on to win, but as usual, I was looking at some of the game, and they don't play any defense. Most of those West Coast game teams, or games, I should say, a lot of those teams, from the Northwest, West Coast, is just high scoring shootout games. Who can score the most points, and just like on schedule, they had a shootout with Penn State. You know what I mean? I believe they gave up like 300 rushing yards, 500 passing yards, something crazy like that. So, but Oregon, they held out to win, held out and won, I should say. I was looking at some of the game. Penn State, they couldn't make any stops, man. The defense wasn't coming up big when they needed them. So, yeah, so Oregon holds on. They won. They won their conference. So they're in. Penn State will be in also. Now to the pretty much the game of the night, which is Clemson and SMU. I watched the majority of it. I turned a little bit because I honestly thought it was over, but SMU made a game of it, man. They came back, made it 31 all, but they left enough time, enough time on the clock where Clemson took the kickoff back and set themselves up to make a last second field goal to win the game. And the dude kicked I want to say 56-yard field goal to win the game, So yeah, they deserve to win it, SMU dug themselves a big hole early in the game, but I give them credit for, fighting back. They could have easily, folded and called it a day or whatever and say, hey, we'll just wait and see what the committee does, feel like they should be in. But yeah, so Clemson won. So Clemson again in just for the fact that they won the championship game, the conference. So yeah, so I say all that to say this, Tide Nation, and this goes out to my Tide Nation. and this is hard for me to say, being an Alabama fan, I love the Tide, man, I really do, but I don't believe that we should get in this year, honestly. Um, we didn't play good enough. We had some really bad losses that we really shouldn't have had. And I feel like if they let Bama in, it's going to be a firestorm behind this. You have an SMU team that only lost one game, and they played a great conference championship game that they easily could have won, but you know their special teams let them down at the end, so it came back to haunt them. But if you weigh the two teams, the only reason why I think they will let Bama in is because of who we are, the brand. And at this point, I don't feel like that's right. You know, again, I'm roll tide to the end. If they let us in, then they let us in. I'm not gonna, protest it or be disgusted with it. But I think that'll be a bad move. Uh, um, you're sending a bad message to these players first and foremost that work so hard, to keep their bodies in shape, what they put their bodies through week in and week out through the season to get to these points, to try to play to win a title. It's really hard, and then on top of that, they got to go to school, so I feel like you would be robbing particularly SMU of a chance to go play for a title. And they have a pretty good team from what I can see. Like I said, they had a slow start, but you don't go 11-1 for nothing. You got to play those games. You got to win those games. And football's not an easy sport, man. So if you take that away from them, I think you would be really sending a bad message. I get it. I get it. It's all about the brand. It's about the money. It's about the ratings, the drawings, of the people. It's all corporate. I get it. But at some point, you got to do the right thing, man. You have to do the right thing. You can't just always sit on the notion of well, is this team's going to draw a bigger audience, or this team will draw more money. How much money? and I already know the question. It's all about greed, but it's like, yeah, have some compassion and do the right thing, man, for these kids. Really, at the end of the day, what it boils down to, do the right thing, man. The best team with the best record, with the best showing, should get into the playoffs. And if it comes down to SMU versus Alabama, I just feel like it should be SMU, man. We had a chance to, go on the field and prove that, hey, we're Bama, we can't be denied, but we didn't do that this year, we didn't. We were up and down all year. SMU wasn't up and down all year. I'm not sure what their strength of schedule is. That may come back. People say, oh, well, their strength of schedule wasn't this and that or whatever. Okay. But still, they win 11-1. They played a great game in a conference championship game. They made it to the conference championship game. That has to stand for something. It has to mean something, man. You know what I mean? As far as I know, they the loss that they lost to, I'm not sure who they lost to because I don't follow SMU, but I didn't hear anything about them losing the game that they lost to an inferior team. I don't know who beat them, but we lost to two, I guess you could say, inferior teams. Hold on a second, YouTube. Let me turn this light back on real quick. My apologies, YouTube. I'm at work and we have a timer in this break room. But yeah, so not gonna make this video too long, man. Just want to say, look, man, out to the committee, do the right thing. You know what I mean? Do the right thing. It comes down to us, SMU. Give the nod to SMU, man. Don't just put us in just because we're Alabama. That's not right, man. You know, those guys work just as hard as the Bama dudes, man. And this year, they had a better year, man. You know, they had a better year. But our time is coming, though. I'm really excited about going forward. You know, especially with the recruiting class that we got coming in. You know, I want to see who's going to stay, who's going to go, who's going to be in the portal. You know, so the future is bright in Bama. I'm not even worried about none of that. You know, but I'm just talking about specifically on this season. This season, we came up short, man. It is what it is. We didn't have a season that we have, normally come accustomed to, the standard at Alabama. But hey, the future's bright. The boys, I think he's the man for this job. He's going to get this team back on track. And next year, we coming, man. We coming. We're not going to be stopped. Now, I feel like we're not going to be stopped, But just do the right thing this year, committee. Do the right thing this year, Let SMU get in, give them a shot, and, so it won't be, a whole bunch of backlash and, it's fixed and, it'll just be a mess, man, So, and it really, at the end of the day, it would really send a terrible message to these kids in college, man, that work so hard, It really would be a bad message. But anyway, that's it. We're gonna wait and see what happens tomorrow with the committee, what they ultimately decide, and we're gonna go from there. As always, up and coming YouTube, The Rich Kid. If you like my content, hit me up. Give me a like, share, subscribe, tell a friend. I'm out, YouTube. Peace.